others that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them. I
welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we're talking about the top 10 scariest emergency broadcasts. Before we get into the list, I want to quickly remind you guys about our new Hindi channel. Now if you guys are watching in India, we have translated the channel just for you, so head on over and enjoy. Also, before we play these worrying emergency broadcasts, I want to ask you guys what you would do in an emergency. Do you have a nuclear fallout plan or a zombie apocalypse plan? Let me know in the comment section down below. Alright, coming in at number 10, we have the missile threat in Hawaii. This is actually really recent and honestly very terrifying. In January 2018, amid what was then the height of tensions between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and United States President Donald Trump, citizens of Hawaii had a very intense few months. Kim Jong-un's missiles could in theory reach Hawaii, so the threat seemed pretty real out there in the Pacific Ocean. On January the 13th, 2018, Hawaiians received a text alert that read in capitals, "Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill." Christ. The message also went out on TV and radio and caused widespread panic, with thousands of people rushing to find shelter. While the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency quickly tweeted out that there was no threat, people were still utterly freaked out despite trying to contact their loved ones. It turns out that the error came as a government employee pushed the wrong button. Coming into number 9, we have civil danger warning. Civil danger warnings are official warnings issued by the United States and are relayed by the National Weather Service in extremely hazardous situations. In August 2017, it seemed that Guam was on the receiving end of one of these alerts, which triggered panic in the US territory. Again, very near North Korea. So this is what a civil danger warning looks like.
It was transporting gasoline and chlorine gas. The collision started a fire, releasing hazardous toxic chemicals and slight amounts of nuclear waste into the air. While the effects of the nuclear waste release are not expected to be
scary, right? Especially all about the sounds. I don't like them. Luckily for Guam, it was a false alarm. It was just a network test. But again, with Kim Jong-un reportedly having drawn up plans to fire 4 missiles on the island on that very day, you can imagine why locals were very freaked out. One woman wrote to the Guam Homeland Security Office Facebook page to say, "Why would you test a civil danger warning on the day we're expecting to get bombed and not indicate that it's a test?" Honestly, a fair point. Coming into number 8, we have EBS Illinois. This clip comes from the Museum of Classic Chicago Television and was uploaded to their YouTube channel. It is unclear if the clip was ever aired or if it is a pre-prepared message in case of emergency. Either way, it sounds official and terrifying. Have a little listen.
We interrupt our program at the request of the White House. This is the emergency broadcast system. All normal broadcasting has been discontinued during this emergency.
Honestly, at the request of the White House, hearing that would seriously freak me out. It seems this footage was from 1985. Again, I don't know if it was ever used. Coming into number 7, have you ever wondered what a Japanese alert sounds like? Check it out, it's J-Alert. Obviously, emergency alert systems are designed to help protect people and warn them of dangerous situations. In 2011, Japanese media used their emergency systems called J-Alert to warn people that a tsunami was coming. It told them to evacuate immediately. Unfortunately though, these warnings were only in Japanese. If I was in Japan, I would have been screwed. On world media, the warnings were translated. You can hear some here.
Have already issued the evacuation order to the people who live along the seaside. Around 6 o'clock, we had observed a big
The 7.3 magnitude earthquake that hit Fukushima caused a devastating tsunami, but luckily alert systems had been improved since the last catastrophic tsunami disaster in 2004. Here are some examples of other J-alerts. Whoa, that is honestly quite the sound. Here's another. It's piercing.
東京警察の要請により、以下のメッセージが送信されました。東京の街では暴動の情報が流れています。
Coming into number 6, we have the FEMA Test. The most recent Federal Emergency Management Agency test took place a few days before the recording of this video. From now on, each year FEMA will test nationally. An earlier test was broadcast on some TV networks in 2016, which really freaked people out. While unlike some of the broadcasts on this list, the emergency alert did make it clear that it was a test. Some people were very disconcerted nonetheless. If you are wondering what an emergency alert would look like, check out this footage. Number 5, we have the end of the world in California. Cable customers received an emergency message on their television screens shortly after 11 AM in the morning. Now this all went down in autumn of 2017. The alert warned that the end of the world was coming that Saturday, September the 23rd, and it prompted quite a bit of panic. Have a little listen to a bit of the broadcast.
The space program made contact with. They are not what they claim.
The video continues to say that Area 51 has been infiltrated and that the government seems to know about it. The warning was interspersed with emergency sounding beeps. A number of residents were prompted to call the police, but yes, you guessed it, it was a hack. Nonetheless, it was terrifying. Coming into number 4, we have the LA riots. I didn't actually know anything about the LA riots until I was researching for this video. I guess I was a baby at the time growing up in the UK, so that must be why. Anyway, they seem pretty serious. The LA riots, or the Rodney King riots they were called, took place between April and May in 1992. Now they resulted in 63 deaths and over 2,300 injuries. Rodney King was a victim of police brutality and the incident was caught on camera. Now this sparked the riots, which then saw bouts of looting and destruction. People who lived in LA were terrified. This was just one of several emergency broadcasts.
This is the Los Angeles County Emergency Broadcast System. This is not a test. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is now in full mobilization. All off-duty sheriff's deputies are directed to contact their unit of assignment as soon as possible or contact the nearest Los Angeles County Sheriff's facility.
The emergency broadcast was a call to off-duty officials to join in the ruckus. Now the entire city was thrown into a state of emergency. Horrifying at number 3, what would you even do? It's zombies in Michigan. In 2013, an emergency broadcast went out on 2 television stations in Marquette, Michigan. The stations were infiltrated by hackers who put out an alert on PBS and ABC affiliate channels. They said civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Following the message on screen, we will update you as information becomes available. Do not attempt to approach or apprehend these bodies as they are considered extremely dangerous. So this is basically not what you want to hear from your trusted local news station. Some people were genuinely concerned, others saw the funny side, while some people definitely absolutely didn't. Now the local station manager and news director Cynthia Thompson issued a statement on behalf of ABC 10 saying that the channel was working on rectifying the hack. Honestly, what would you do if you saw that kind of warning? I'm not sure all of us believe in zombies, but if it comes across on our television saying that there's a zombie apocalypse, like, do you run? Do you hide? Do you get your baseball bat? I just don't know. Coming into number 2, we have the horrifying events that unfolded on live TV on 9/11. The breaking news broadcasts of 9/11 are some of the most famous and scariest in the history of television. The terror attack that took place on September 11th, 2001 largely played out in a live television broadcast environment across the world. It was literally all that was on anyone's TV. I remember the day so clearly. I was really young, but literally on every single of the 5 channels we had in our house, it was playing 9/11 footage. After the first plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center, all cameras were focused on the buildings, capturing the moment that the second plane hit. From that point on, the United States and wider world knew that the attacks were intentional and had to comprehend the wider implications of that. A lot of people across the world were rightly very scared. Finally, coming into number 1, this is practically a declaration of war live on your television, we have "This is war." This is not a joke, this is war. These were the words spoken to an emergency radio broadcast from KTU in Hawaii. The reporter said that one of the bombs dropped within 50 feet of KTU Tower. They said, "This is no joke, it's a real war." Have a listen for yourself.
From KTU Tower. It is no joke, it is a real war.
As the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on the 7th of December 1941, the United States deployed some of their first ever emergency broadcasts across the world. One broadcast had this to say:
"A Japanese attack upon Pearl Harbor naturally would mean war. Such an attack would naturally bring a counterattack. And hostilities of this kind would naturally mean that the President would ask Congress for a declaration of war. There is no doubt from the temper of Congress that such a declaration would be granted."
This is how the majority of Americans found out that their country was likely to be at war. This emergency broadcast paved the way for CONELRAD. This is the first method of mass emergency broadcast in the United States. Honestly, imagine listening to that. The United States hadn't really been attacked like that before. It must have been truly horrifying. So guys, that was a scary list. Which of these did you find the most worrying? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to let me know your emergency plans. Before we end this video, I just want to read some comments from a recent video I did. Also scary. This was the scariest NASA pictures that should have stayed secret. This is what you had to say. Cody Judd said, "Rebecca, I love your videos, but I think you meant Dementors and not Death Eaters. Lol. You're honestly right, I script so many videos and sometimes I film them at the very end of the day and I just start losing my mind. I'm a big Harry Potter fan as well, so I wouldn't mix those up in a normal environment, but honestly, brain scramble." Rebel X800 said, "My favourite planet is Pluto. It deserves more love." Honestly, I think you're right, it does. I heart Pluto too. Are there t-shirts that say I love Pluto? Because if there were, I'd have one. John Asseron wrote, "The scariest NASA photos are those that have not yet been released." I probably agree with you, maybe we'll never see them. Finally, I love this comment from Jennifer Cushman. She wrote, "As someone who has had quite the passion for astronomy, I don't think that space is scary at all, unless you read the Japanese manga Hellstar Remina. That is definitely quite scary. My favourite planets are Venus and Jupiter, especially Jupiter since I just love seeing all of the bands on Jupiter going in two different directions at once. I also like Venus mainly because of the upside down twin tornadoes on the planet. As for number 3, that is nothing more than a rock formation, but I do definitely believe in the alien theory since I'm a huge paranormal believer. I also love Doctor Who, Ancient Aliens and the X-Files." Amazing! You sound awesome and I bet you love our videos because we kind of play to that. So guys, thank you once again for watching this most amazing top 10 video. Please do leave a big thumbs up if you liked it, share with a friend and stay subscribed for more most amazing lists. Bye!